Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. And more shockingly enough, all month long, we are sponsored by Roll-A-Crit, home of the new redesigned bag of holding. Yes. We'll talk a little bit more about Roll-A-Crit in just a moment, but welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. This is live stream 1086. If you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual around here. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I will normally pontificate about something related to our hobby, which I shall be tonight. In fact, tonight's topic is, so you want to create your own tabletop gaming channel? Or words to that effect, right? So we are going to talk about that. I'm going to share some advice, share some thoughts about my experience to this point. I've been doing this for, I think we mark 14 years next month, early next month. I will probably do some sort of a celebration to mark our anniversary. So, I kind of know what I'm talking about in certain respects. And then others, I just, haven't a clue. But I will try to stick with things that I do know about tonight. But of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube, such as Sammy's recent reviews for Paizo Inc. releases for both Pathfinder and Starfinder, including Pray for Death, which is right over my shoulder here, which is kicking off the War of Immortals storyline for Pathfinder. And she gave it a really big thumbs up. Might want to check that out. Check out that review. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live stream, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. One of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 minutes. Another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, feel free, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Wallona's Cave. Beat Cafe is with us, as is Keithulu, Jose Fernandez, Danny Gable, who I believe might be a first-time visitor with us in chat, not recognizing that nickname. Kathy Evans is here, Game Cat, as well as Will GM for Food, and we love tabletop role-playing games. I mean, we do, but that's the nickname of that person in chat. And I will also take a guess that the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is lurking in the shadows with her glittery banhammer to make sure everybody behaves. That's right, because Sarah D is one of our chat moderators. Very nice. Very nice. So let's talk about this month's sponsor, because it is Roll-A-Crit. As I mentioned, it is the home of the newly redesigned bag of holding, which had a very successful Kickstarter. It made its premiere at Gen Con 2024. And the fine folks over at Roll-A-Crit were kind enough to give me one with a bunch of goodies. I've got all these different shoulder straps, and I've got different patches and a whole bunch of goodies. I even have some zipper, what are they? I think they're zipper medals or something along those. You put them through the zipper. They like just dangle there. I have little swords. Yep. And I also even have a gelatinous cube shoulder strap. So very nice, very cool. We're actually probably going to take a closer look at the bag of holding tomorrow. But there is an upcoming Kickstarter for Roll Crit for an expansion to Heroes of Barcadia. That's right, I am talking about Heroes for Hire. Heroes from across the lands gather in Barcadia for a grand drinking competition, as you may remember. But the festivities turn dire when the Grand Drink Guardians monsters steal all the drinks. I hate when that happens. 8 valiant volunteers step up, only to be thwarted by the die of Barcane Chaos. The heroes face an unexpected setback and retreat to the tavern, where they explain everything to Brutus Pint Smasher, the event organizer. He sends off letters to distant lands for help, and his plea is answered by 4 valiant heroes, the Heroes for Hire. With rewards aplenty should they succeed, they venture into the dungeon. Their trials surpass even those of the original heroes. But will they be triumphant? That's for you to decide. Outmaneuver your opponents to become the ultimate hero in this thrilling adventure, coming soon to Kickstarter. Be sure to stop on over at rollacrit.com to sign up for the notification for Heroes for Hire. And if you do happen to back the Kickstarter, once you've signed up, you'll score exclusive power-ups. And if you're curious about Heroes of Barcadia, I have reviewed it. By all means, check out the review. I liked it. It was fun. We had a good time with it. We did use adult beverages to play as well, which is, I think, how God intended it. Yeah. Sweet. So once again, big thank you to Rollacrit. They are our sponsor this month. So shall we jump on into the tabletop gaming news? Because I've got quite a bit this evening. Currently up for crowdfunding on BackerKit is I believe it's the 2nd edition of Nimble 5e. And I've got the dope from Nimble Co. What is Nimble? A fast, tactical, 5e-compatible tabletop role-playing game. Your game nights are too precious to waste with slow or fiddly rules. Slay the slog using the best elements from the greatest role-playing games around. It empowers players and game masters with more interesting choices, less waiting around, and they'll have more fun playing epic stories. There are fast attacks. Your heroes. Attacks just hit. Don't waste your time rolling to see if you can deal damage. Just roll your damage dice. You deal that much damage. Attacks miss on a 1, but rolling the maximum is an exploding critical hit. Exploding critical hits, roll the die again, add it to the total. There's no limit to how many times this damage can stack. Well, except for your luck. It's tactical. Actively engage in combat. Forget being a passive observer at the mercy of the dice. Heroes get a say over when they take damage with the new reaction, defend. Encourage teamwork and tactical positioning with the new reaction, interpose. Defend. Give up an action on your next turn to reduce the damage from an incoming attack. Interpose. Protect your allies by placing yourself between them and danger when they are attacked. There's instant initiative. Get right into combat. Improved initiative rules that get players immediately into combat in a way that serves the story without breaking up the flow. Respect the story. Keep role-playing and the story flowing through combat with the new assess action. Uncover enemy plans, spot hidden weaknesses, gather information to claim the tactical edge over your foes. There's resting rules that respect and facilitate the story. Overhauled rest to support the character's engagement with NPCs and the story. No more unfun resting rules that warp combat encounters and slow the game down. There's more player agency, flexible action economy, use your actions however you like. You can make more choices that really matter. Strategic weapon systems, a subtly deep weapon system that rewards thoughtful play. No more, I guess I'll pick the bigger one. Every weapon is balanced to have interesting strengths and weaknesses in combat. It's a flexible skill system where your skills grow and change with your character and the story. Overhauled spells and magic system, easier to pick up, less restrictive, and more freedom to cast the spells you want to cast. It's more focused, and there is a streamlined character sheet. Your character sheet doesn't have to look as complicated as a tax form to have a deep tactical game. Trap options or needless clutter dilutes your choices, slows the game, scares new players away, and can make it harder to find the information you need. Now, there is a short backer kit video. I almost said Kickstarter. Backer kit video. It's a little more than 2 minutes in length, so let's give it a peek.
Your game nights are too precious to waste with slow, tedious rules. Nimble 5e is a fast, tactical, and 5e compatible RPG that eliminates the slog, all too common at our game sessions. No more waiting 15 minutes for your turn just to miss your attack. No. Not here. Attacks are fast and heroic. No more fiddly back and forth just to see if you even hit. The overhauled combat system keeps things quick yet deeply strategic. And with exploding critical hits, you can retain the chaotic excitement of battle. Tactics and teamwork are greatly improved with new heroic reactions. Actively defend and bravely interpose for your allies. And with instant initiative, you can get right into combat without breaking up the flow of the story. Nimble enables more player agency with a flexible action economy and deep yet simple weapon, skill, and magic systems. A character sheet that looks less like a tax form and less intimidating to new players. It's more focused, reducing bookkeeping and making each remaining option matter far more. There are 11 fresh but familiar new classes that beautifully take advantage of the updated rules, each with its own unique and super flavorful playstyle. New spells that encourage creativity and allow for discovering cool setups and combos that are satisfying to pull off. And items as a GM that you can't wait to hand out. Items that will help move the story forward or get your party into or out of trouble as you see fit. A new legendary monster system that makes them actually easy to run at a glance. Balanced even across widely differing party sizes. The tide of battle will shift in interesting ways, making for even more memorable nail-biting moments. The best part, this is all 5e compatible. Bring your favorite D&D adventure modules, your favorite third-party monster books, and easily run them with a Nimble system. Have more fun playing epic stories. With affordable digital and physical softcover options, as well as a premium and beautiful hardcover boxed set complete with a GM screen and dozens of spell cards for quick reference.
Slay the slog at your game nights. Get more out of your RPG sessions.
Back Nimble today.
Nimble 5e, or I should say this new edition of Nimble 5e, is well beyond its funding goal at over $170,000 in crowdfunding. You can reserve a copy of the premium box set. There are a bunch of different pledge levels. The one that looks to be the best, that's got all 3 volumes and a lot of other goodies, is the premium box set. You can get soft covers. You can get PDFs. Don't want you to feel that you're kind of locked in at this pledge level. But the premium box set is available for a pledge of $95 through August 22nd. Expected delivery is next spring at the latest. The reason why I mentioned that is I did notice that they are shooting for possibly a December release, but they don't want to say that. So worst case scenario, they're saying next spring. Do want to mention, Doomed Colonist, who's joining us in chat, mentioned that the voiceover sounds really badly recorded or made with AI. That is my fault because there was music in the background. And of course, you know, I upload this stuff to YouTube first. So I know if I'm going to get a copyright violation, I was going to get a copyright violation if I left the music in. There is a kind of a beta thing with YouTube where you can strip music out, but keep like voiceover. I guess it didn't work as well as it normally does. So that is my fault. It is not Nimble Co's fault. So just wanted to point that out. Wanted to let everybody know. So we've got Doom Colonist, as I mentioned. Gleam 1 RX, John Mascola, Lord Cost 2000, and 245 Trioxin have all joined us in chat. Good to see everybody. Now, I remember last week on one of the shows, somebody in chat was talking about Nimble 5e and how it's really good. I don't know. All I can say is it was somebody, I want to say it was one of our regulars, was hanging out and said that Nimble 5e is kind of their go-to instead of Dungeons and Dragons. So I was like, okay. Alrighty then. So let's see. There was also, there we go. Doom Colonist also pointed out that as someone who works on an actual play show, because of the topic of tonight's show, said, let me tell you, do your research, learn your tech. That stuff is not easy. We're going to talk about that too, even though we're not really looking at actual plays, but we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. I really haven't done actual plays in the past. I shared a couple of videos when I was learning Fantasy Grounds, and I ran a Call of Cthulhu adventure, but wasn't all that good. So I'm going to blame my players. They were awful. Elliot Miller, my best friend, he was awful in that. No, it was just getting used to everything, and you know how it goes. All right, once again, Nimble 5e over on Backer Kit. Now available from the Goat's Head and Space Penguin Inc. is Seas of Sand. I have talked about this previously. It is now out in print and PDF. Here's what I know. By day, the sands are liquid. People sink and ships sail. By night, the sands are solid. People can walk and ships are stuck. Different sands have different definitions of solid and liquid, but the basic principle holds. If you're caught out on the sands at dawn without a ship, only prayer will save you. Welcome to the seas. Seas of Sand is a toolbox setting guide for old school role-playing games about a vast desert ocean of liquid sand. By day, the sand is liquid and ships sail across while people sink. By night, once again, sand is solid, ships freeze while people walk free. Map the seas with 7 sands, build its many wondrous cities, determine trade routes and pirate havens, then turn the crew loose and see what adventure lies along the way. Seas of Sand can function as its own standalone setting for a complete campaign, or you can slot a sand ocean into a larger map just as easily. The book contains procedures and content for building and populating a map of the seas and its cities. Details on each of these 7 sands and how they behave, along with D100 encountered tables for each. Lightweight, easily modified rules for sand ships, trading, piracy, smuggling, and recruiting crew. 36 fauna, 20 flora, and 20 phenomena unique to the seas. Dozens of tables of trade goods, ships, NPCs, messages in a bottle, and more. D100 revelations, world-altering mystical truths triggered through prayer, visions, and sacred drugs. The worm, it rises from the sands to consume you. Praise be. And more. Also included are digital files for a 2-sided 24-inch by 36-inch map containing 2 possible versions of the seas and a 24-inch by 36-inch poster with art and apocrypha of the worm. The 264-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $60. I know it's indicated $80, and then on Space Penguin Inc., it shows like it's been marked down to $60. I think the MSRP is $60. Just saying. Or you can grab just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $25. Now, I remember sharing a news piece about this when this hit in PDF. I want to say that was back in May. I think it was May. I got to say, this looks really interesting. So now that it's out in print, I thought I would share the news about it once again. Very nice. On to our next news piece. Mongoose Publishing and Bundle of Holding have teamed for a special offer on 2300 AD, and I've got the deets on the deal. Traveler! This Mongoose 2300 AD second edition bundle presents the, you guessed it, 2021 Mongoose Publishing second edition of 2300 AD, the tabletop science fiction role-playing game about humanity discovering the stars. 300 years from now, humanity is claiming worlds far from Earth, despite nearly destroying itself in the Twilight War. Despite all the wars since, humanity has held on and kept its dream alive. Campaigns in 2300 AD are about interstellar exploration, war on the far frontier, new colonies on hostile worlds, discovering and understanding alien species, even espionage in the gritty megacities of the core worlds. Using the Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition core rules, expect a grittier experience, less space Viking, more aliens. This new offer presents the entire 2300 AD 2E line, plus the current Traveler core rulebook for an unbeatable bargain price. For just $14.95, you'll get all 5 Mongoose Publishing titles in the starter collection, which have a retail value of $122, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Mongoose Traveler 2E core rulebook update for 2022, which is the most recent Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition rules, as well as the Mongoose 2300 AD 2nd Edition core rules set, the equipment catalog tools for frontier living, and the 2300 AD 2E referee screen. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $30.95, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 4 more titles worth an additional $135.50, including the massive Project Bayern campaign set, Ships of the Frontier, Vehicles of the Frontier, and the Aerospace Engineer's Handbook. These savings will run through September 2nd. 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to Direct Relief. Sweet. I would actually really like to check out 2300 AD. I picked it up when it originally came out, and it was from GDW. And I remember very little about it. And it's kind of funny, we talked about this before, that we've got the 2300 AD at one point was part of Traveler's backstory, and then it wasn't. I think it is again, at least with the Mongoose 2nd Edition of it. But here's an interesting note. We're always talking about Mongoose Publishing and how pricey even their PDFs are. And people are always talking about how they'd like to give Traveler a shot. Well, here's the thing. So you can jump on board with the starter collection for this offer at $14.95 and get the core rulebook for Traveler, which in PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG is normally, in fact, it is right now, $30. So you can actually get the Traveler PDF for half price and get all the rest of this stuff essentially practically free. It's pretty wild because you think about it, Traveler PDF's $30. You can get the whole collection for $30.95. So the price of just the core rules for Traveler gets you all of this as well. So something to keep in mind. Plus, like I said, if you just want to grab the Traveler rules, you can grab that PDF for half price. Plus, get 2300 AD. Not too shabby. Pretty good deal. I like this deal. Every once in a while, we will see Mongoose Publishing do a humble bundle where you get tons of Traveler stuff at a really sweet price. I always keep my eyes peeled. So if that pops up, I always share it because I really like Traveler 2nd edition from Mongoose. I think they've done a pretty nice job with it. And they support it really well also. In fact, I think there's 4 new physical books that are coming out or just came out last week. Pretty nice. All right. So Marzakeen is joining us in chat. I believe they might be a first-time visitor in chat with us as well because that nickname's not ringing a bell. So welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable. On to our next news piece. Coming soon in print and available now in PDF is the Star Trek Adventures Game Toolkit. And here's the latest from Modiphius Entertainment. The Star Trek Adventures Game Toolkit provides you with a wealth of materials to expand your game beyond the core rulebook. It provides players and game masters with additional options and rules references to aid your group in exploring the final frontier. The Star Trek Adventures Game Toolkit provides you with a wealth of materials to expand your game. It includes a full-color 4-panel U.S. letter size Game Master screen packed with reference tables for the Star Trek Adventures 2nd edition role-playing game, an A2-sized map of the galaxy as of the mid-23rd century, and on the reverse, full-color art to inspire your bold adventures. 8 double-sided reference sheets, including the actions of each role aboard a starship, momentum spend reference tables, conflict rules references, and more. A 40-page booklet contains a wealth of material expanding the scope of the game. 17 additional space frames to choose from as your group's starship, 5 new starship mission profiles, and 5 new starship talents. Advice for the Game Master on developing Star Trek-style stories. Additional Game Master options for using extended tasks and threat. And do want to mention, this does require the 2nd edition core rulebook of Star Trek Adventures in order to use. Now, the Star Trek Adventures Game Toolkit with PDF is going to carry an MSRP of $42 when it beams into stores later this month. Now, the PDF alone is available now. It's over at Drive-Thru RPG for $18. So these are the first 2 with the core rulebook and the game toolkit releases for 2nd edition Star Trek Adventures. Yes. I actually reached out to my contact from Modiphius Entertainment today to see about getting review copies of Star Trek Adventures 2E as well as the game toolkit. So we shall see. We'll find out. Fingers crossed, everybody. Because I would definitely like to check it out because I thought Star Trek Adventures was really well done. And from my understanding, the 2nd edition is kind of tweaking things, making it a little more streamlined, trying to make that 2D20 system easier to grasp for newcomers to it. So pretty sweet, pretty nice. All right, final news piece. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Reichland Miscellanea arrives in print September 4th. Here's the skinny from Cubicle 7 Games. Across the Reichland, grim and perilous adventures, unfathomable intrigues, secretive schemes, and unpredictable magic can be found around every corner. From mysterious statues to ominous shrines, odd buildings, and even odder characters, Reichland Miscellanea collects some of the most interesting oddities of the Reichland and beyond. To mark Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition's 5th year of publication, Cubicle 7 has gathered some of the most popular articles in one place. Reichland Miscellanea collates, I think I would just say collects, the following titles in one convenient package. Whether you're a veteran of the Reichland's muddy roads and winding waterways or a pristine adventure ready to get your boots muddy, there's something here for everyone. There's Patrons of the Old World 1 and 2, a collection of 8 fascinating patrons, influential and driven NPCs with their own agendas, useful plot hooks, and a master plan that characters throw their weight behind or struggle to prevent. Buildings of the Reichland, or as I like to usually say, Reichland. A collection of buildings, each with detailed floor plans and intriguing details, suitable for dropping into any whiff-rip campaign. One-shots of the Reichland, a selection of quick-fire adventures, each set in one of the locations from Buildings of the Reichland, and suitable for a single frantic session of play. Monuments of the Reichland, 5 fascinating monuments, each a well-known landmark, and each with its own often sinister secret. Shrines of Sigmar, 5 shrines to mighty Sigmar, the patron deity of the Empire. But all is not as it seems in these fascinating locations. Sulacera's spells of utmost utility. The elf mage hoped this book of spells for all 8 winds of magic would be put to constructive use by the wizards of the Empire, who promptly found entirely different applications for her magic. Blood and Bramble, witch and hedge witch alike will find a wide array of spells to use in this fair and foul collection of magic. Also included are 2 intriguing and learned NPCs of somewhat dubious intent. Reichland Miscellany contains a fascinating array of materials useful to game masters and players alike. If you long to possess any of these items in print, now's your chance. In fact, you can pre-order today and get the entire PDF right now to start reading. The 144-page hardcover with PDF is going to carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it lands in stores in September. Of course, you can score the PDF alone right now over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Very cool. Very cool. I've got something else I'm going to talk about Cubicle 7 games in just a moment. But that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG and making reference to it a few times in these news stories. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Yes. If you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you could buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yummy. And a big thank you to all of you out there who utilize the banner ads and or stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang. It is much appreciated. So Peaceful Porcupine is with us in chat, as is Stacking Limits. So welcome aboard to both of you. So, as I mentioned, I was going to talk a little bit about Cubicle 7 games for a moment. If you were watching last night, you know I had pointed out that I was reaching out to Cubicle 7 games to see if I could maybe get my hands on some of the Foundry modules that they have released, because I'd been kicking around running a Foundry campaign with either Pathfinder 2nd Edition or Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, because to my knowledge, those are the two best implemented systems for Foundry. So I did reach out and I got my hands on some today. And funny enough, I already owned a couple, which I did not realize from like 4 years ago. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, so I am going to run a Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Foundry game, and it is going to be open to you. Yes, and I am going to charge per session for people to take part. So it's going to be, I think I'm going to set it at $20. $20 a person, minimum 4-hour session, and do it every other week, probably every other Monday. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I know there was someone in chat, or not in chat, I should say. They commented on last night's video saying they want in. So if you are interested in taking part, got to keep in mind, it's going to be every other Monday. It'll probably be about 7 p.m. Central. So probably running 7 to 11, maybe 6 to 10, somewhere in that ballpark. So that is what I'm thinking. So, of course, you'd have to be able to take part every other Monday at around 6 or 7 p.m. Central. So there is that. But that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And I believe Elliot's going to play. So there is that also. Mel Winnie is from York, is with us. Good to see you. So they're just popping in to say hello because it's their bedtime. All right, so tonight I am going to actually share some advice for those folks out there who are considering becoming a tabletop gaming content creator. Be it if you're looking to do a podcast, or if you're looking to do video, or even launching a website like thegaminggang.com. So I'm going to share some advice, share some of my experiences. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's refreshment time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Hey, Mom. Yes, you. Why fuss and fret about dinner? Why not have it right here? Yes, this drive-in offers everyone in the family a real picnic treat for dinner. We've got delicious sandwiches with all the trimmings and your other dinner favorites, plus whatever you want to drink, hot or cold. Come early before the show starts, or eat while you're being entertained, or at intermission time. So why fuss? Give your family a tasty dinner at this drive-in.
If I was a mountain climber, I'd yodel loud and clear. For Bush Bavarian beer.
Bush Bavarian beer. It's America's new taste in beer. For that take time for fun kind of living.
If I was you, I'd yodel for Bush Bavarian, too.
This machine will make you want a cup of Wilkins coffee.
Not me. I'll take mine with cream and sugar.
And now, boys and girls, here is what you get when you join the Secret Squadron. This membership card with your very own Secret Squadron number, this official Secret Squadron manual, and this combination badge and decoder. Look, here's how the decoder works. I'll give you a 2-word clue. The second word is in our secret code. The first word is watch. Now, here is the secret code word. Write down these numbers. 17, 3, 20. Now, set your secret decoder like this. For code A3. Then decode this important clue to next week's adventure. If you don't have your decoder badge, here's how you can get one for your very own. First, get a jar of the official Secret Squadron drink, delicious chocolate-flavored Ovaltine, the food drink for rocket power. Then cut out the wax paper disc that covers the Ovaltine jar. And send that disc with your name, your address, to me, Captain Midnight, Box P, Chicago 77, Illinois. That's all. Send no money. It's free to every boy and girl who joins the Secret Squadron. And when you receive your secret decoder badge, membership card with your very own Secret Squadron number, and 12-page manual, you'll be a full-fledged member. Remember, get your Ovaltine, the food drink for rocket power. Hot or cold, it's got what it takes to help you be a leader in your gang. So every day, drink instant Ovaltine.
We joke all the time about how awful some of that drive-in food looks. Honestly, how much I want to bet that that food was far tastier and far more healthy than what we eat now. I bet you. I know he's there, oh gosh, those hot dogs look awful. Probably were pretty good. So, Keith Lewis says, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. A commercial? Son of a... Yeah, love that movie. Love that movie. Although, funny enough, when the holidays roll around, I always watch that before it pops up on, isn't it TNT that does the 24 hours of A Christmas Story? Yeah, I usually watch it a couple days before that. I love that. Love that movie. It's great. And I love the fact that the old man, if you pay attention, he really is swearing. So, pretty wild. Pretty wild. Gleeman 1 RX asked, will the Foundry sessions be recorded? Probably not. I don't think I'm going to do like an actual play for a few different reasons. Number one, if I were to do an actual play, then that would require everyone who's playing to have a cam. One that's decent, not just the crap that's on most laptops. And that's why I'm shocked my Lenovo, which many of you helped me get after my laptop crapped out. I'm actually surprised that its cam is halfway decent, but certainly not like, you know, a Panasonic camera. But now, probably not. I think, for one, I think some players would probably be, I don't know, kind of put on the spot a little bit. So I don't want to do that. And I wouldn't mind doing an actual play, but I also want to make sure that I've got, well, I'm not going to have the ins and outs of Foundry. That's just not going to happen. I don't have that kind of time to invest in a virtual tabletop. Now, if I can run it well enough for people to enjoy a game, well, yeah, we're all good. So, but I wouldn't want to be sharing a recording of me, you know, running a game and being like, God damn it, where the hell? And yes, I know we could edit, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't think so. I might record it just so I can see it. And I would probably record it from like a player's point of view to see what it looks like, because Foundry, of course, looks way different for the game master than it does for the player. So that would be something I'd be kind of curious about. Anyway, so tonight's topic is essentially, so you want to start your own tabletop gaming outlet or channel or what have you? And because from time to time I have people ask, I get emails from people asking about, well, you know, how did you get started? I like your channel. I want to kind of do the same thing. What should I do? Gleam1 RX is asking, how do you sign up for the WIFRIP? Just send me an email, jeffmaclear at thegaminggang.com. Of course, you can always go to thegaminggang.com and there's a contact. Just click on that. It's got my email address there too. But anyway, it's probably not going to be for a few weeks. I'm not going to be ready to start running anything probably until mid-September, maybe. All depends. I mean, I actually, tonight, I'm going to kind of start digging around a little bit, see how WIFRIP is implemented in Foundry. All right, so anyway, back to the topic. So thegaminggang.com started out back in 2010. In September of 2010. Chris Lundgren's with us in chat. So get well wishes to Chris's wife, who was under the weather earlier today. So hopefully she's doing all right. And, of course, got to say hello to Buddy, the cockatiel. So anyway, we started in 2010. I'm not going to rehash that whole story because I've told that a few times on the show. But we started off as a website and a podcast. And I knew nothing about operating a website, creating a website, podcasts, recording, none of it. And some folks will probably claim that I still don't know anything about recording stuff. So, as my dad would always say, I know enough to be dangerous. So, Chris is pointing out that his wife is home doing well. Good to hear. So anyway, that's how we got started. And it was funny because Elliot, my best friend Elliot Miller, if you're not familiar with that, you know, I mention him all the time because we've been gaming for decades together. So anyway, so I was in Arizona. I lived in, at that time, I think I was in Mesa. No, I was in Chandler. I think I was in Chandler. And Elliot had reached out and said, oh, hey, I've been listening to this podcast and it's all about board games and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, it's really good. You should check it out. And it was the Dice Tower. And I did. And I listened to, a few episodes and talked to Elliot and I said, hey, I think we could do better than this. And I'm not saying we ever did, but the one thing that we had going for us is we had been friends forever. And that really came through on the podcast. You could easily tell that we had been friends for a long, long time. Chris did miss intermission. Yes, the brief intermission is over. You missed it. So from there, about 2012, I started doing video and I bought a camcorder and it was just looking in the camcorder, recording like I'm talking now, and then taking that camcorder and doing overhead shots and talking. So there was that. I mean, if you look at the videos on the Gaming Gang channel, if you go back to like one of the most popular videos ever that I've done is a review of Panzer from GMT Games. And it's pretty bad. I mean, compared to now, I mean, at the time, that was sort of what you were getting as far as video. So, of course, as the years go on, you got to kind of try to up your game, right? And the thing is, I don't look at this as a competition. I know there are outlets out there, very famous outlets out there that do look upon everyone else as competition. I don't. I'm not here to, I'm not like, oh, I crush the newcomers. No, not at all. Because, I mean, the reality is this is a small outlet, too. I mean, this is not some huge outlet. I mean, we're closing in on 13,800 subscribers here on YouTube. And that's not huge. Hey, I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. And I appreciate that. But, it's a drop in the bucket. Look at, there's a lot of other content creators out there who talk about role-playing games mainly, or maybe that's all they cover, with far, far bigger audiences than the gaming gang. And that's fine. I have no issue with that. I've said it time and time again. It's not like this is my career, right? I mean, so. Chris Langner asks, did I start out with 720? Yes, I did. I did start off 720p. And the intro was really long. It was like a minute long. Larry White's in chat with us. I don't think I said hello to Larry. He's been hanging for a few minutes here. Good to see you. So anyway, yeah, if you want to get a good laugh, check those out. In fact, you could even check out some of the earliest episodes of the live stream back when I called it the Daily Dope, because I had started doing a podcast when I was still in Arizona. This is after Elliot left to go do his thing. And I decided, hey, I'm just going to do a podcast, a daily podcast, 15, 20 minutes. And I'm just going to do the tabletop gaming news, right? So it was kind of like Elliot was actually the host of the Dice Tower News on, I think it was Wednesdays. I think they did it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. And Elliot was doing it on Wednesdays. And I had thought, oh, well, what the hell? We're not doing the podcast anymore. So gave me something to do. But that didn't last all that long. And of course, the dope is supposed to be like the news. What's the dope, right? That's an old phrase that would have been used like in the 20s and 30s. And of course, people would be like, oh, yeah. It's like, oh, is your show about drugs? In fact, I was streaming when I first started doing the live show. I was streaming on YouTube and Twitch. And I had the chat was both together. And somebody popped in and they were like, dude, is your show about marijuana or whatever, pot, whatever? Like, no. I'm like, oh, all right, man. Take care. Okay. All right. Doom Colonist says that competitive attitude among some creators is really repellent to witness. I find it kind of funny because I have seen some content creators play nice with other content creators, and it's like, damn well. It's like, Then, I mean, there's a lot of content creators out there who I've encountered who are super nice. Like the Player's Aid. Grant and Alexander, very, very nice people. I've chatted with them. I'm surprised I didn't run into them at Gen Con. I'm not sure if they went this year. but that's usually where I would bump into them. And I always, chat for a few minutes. They're always super nice, super cool. They like, Zeets. Is that what we're calling them now? And, like it's not tweets anymore since it's X. Is it Zeets? That's what I've been calling it. So, or like Steven from Roll for Combat who's just popping on in. I tease Steven. But I don't sit there going, damn that Roll for Combat, damn them. No. For one, it's sort of like, why waste that energy? It's like, man, no thanks. I don't hate anything in this world. There are things I really strongly dislike, bordering on hatred, but I don't waste energy on that. So as far as getting started, so first of all, let's just talk about the content creator, not the creation process, but just the creator themselves. Because I'll tell you, it's kind of weird to sit and talk at a camera. Even with a live chat going on. So I know there are people watching, which wasn't always the case. But it is a little strange to just talk into a camera or like speak into a mic while you're looking into a camera. So if you are looking at creating content where it's just like a talking head, like right now, right? This is what they consider to be just talking head. You got to just kind of ignore it. Got to pretend that that camera is one of your best friends that you can just sit there and joke around with and talk about just about anything under the sun, and you'll be fine. A lot of times you'll see people just starting off as content creators, even as podcasters, that you can tell they're very self-conscious. They're very self-conscious about, how they speak, how they sound. I know my voice is not great. Not much I can do about it. And funny enough, I love this microphone. This is a really nice microphone. This microphone isn't really designed for my voice. So, in fact, the microphone I used previously was far better for my vocal range than this Shure mic. Although this is like I said, this is a very nice microphone. You see this microphone, Joe Rogan uses this. So a lot of professionals use this mic. This is not a cheap microphone. It's not a super expensive microphone either. It's not like $1,000 mic because it's like, no. So don't be self-conscious. So no matter what you're doing, if you're doing a podcast, if you're doing talking head, if you're doing reviews and you're just kind of just doing a voiceover, stuff like that, just relax, enjoy your time, try to have some fun, and realize that to start off, you're not going to get too many people like tuning in or listening or anything like that. You'll have to build your audience. So that's one of the first things I mentioned. Second thing is ignore the naysayers, ignore the trolls, ignore the people who wake up every morning with a stick up their ass, because you are going to encounter that. And you are going to encounter it far, far more doing this kind of stuff than you will in the real world around us. Because I don't know about where you live, but most people that I encounter figure if they said half the shit that gets said to me in comments that normally I delete, they get punched in the face, But of course, it's the anonymity of the interwebs. So you can get away with saying whatever the hell you want from your burner YouTube accounts. So one of the things I notice a lot of the like shit stains as far as the comments go, they come from what are basically just burner YouTube accounts, burner Gmail accounts. And you go take a look and there's no content whatsoever. And then strangely enough, you'll see people who have like subscribers and no content. It's like, how does that work? You have 11 subscribers. You don't even have playlists. It's just blank. It's like, okay. It's like, whatever. So you got to have some thick skin. Just ignore it, because the reality is, like I said, it's, for the most part, these people are just miserable, and they go through life trying their best to make other people as miserable as they are. Now, that's not to say that you aren't going to receive constructive criticism. That's going to be different. So if, your audio's clipping, right? We'll talk about like equipment in that in just a couple of moments. But if your audio is clipping, it's horrible to listen to. So if you upload a video and your audio, maybe it was clipping in some parts, and somebody says, hey, you really ought to take a look at your microphone or check your levels, blah, blah, blah. They're not being an asshole. They're just, they're trying to help you out. They're giving you constructive criticism. So Edge for Life is hanging with us in chat, says they started a podcast on role-playing games about 1.5 years ago. I look at every other content creator as competition and a threat. Are you joking? I hope you're joking. Because it's like, really? I'm like, unless you've sunk a lot of money into that, then I'd be like, Doom Colonist says, yeah, bad audio will kill a channel. I mentioned this yesterday when we kind of touched on this topic a little bit. People will watch bad video. People will watch video that's, a little out of focus. Maybe not completely white balance. Yes. Edge for Life says, yes, I'm just joking. I was like, you got to be joking. I was like, but the thing is, there could be people like that out there. There are. I don't know why they'd be watching me, but there are people out there who are like, oh, fuck everybody else, man. It's like, okay. We're just talking about gaming. It's not, it's not the cure for cancer or anything like that. It's supposed to be, lighthearted, fun. But people will even watch if your audio is out of sync. Now, they'll notice it and they'll be like, oh, because it's happened to me, where maybe it's 0.2 of a second off, kind of. So it's not exactly out of sync, but it's not in sync. They'll watch that. They'll watch it because, remember, a lot of times people are just listening while they're going about doing other things. Maybe they've got another tab open on their browser and they're doing something else as they're listening. Bad audio, on the other hand, you could have some spectacular 4K video, and if your audio's bad, people are going to be like, bye. See ya. It's like, we're getting out of here. So, yeah, so sound is very important, but you don't have to go spend a ton of money on microphones and preamps and things like that, especially when you're just getting started. You can use your phone. The reality is, for YouTube content or Vimeo or wherever you want If you want to do Twitch, whatever. You can stream on a phone. Those cameras are pretty decent as far as, 1080p. So you don't really have to invest. You can get yourself, a little tripod that's going to hold the camera and put it at a certain level. And the audio should be okay. So the audio should be all right. But let's go back real quick. Last thing I want to talk about as far as the content creator themselves. I would hope they have something new to bring to the table. No pun intended. Because there are a lot of voices out there that are just echoes of each other. This was one of the reasons why I moved away from board games as much as I have. Now, I will still share reviews and first looks at various different board games. I haven't completely left board games behind. But I started to move away from that space because every time you turn around, there's someone new. They're backed by someone. So there is some financial backing involved. Because you got to remember, there's a lot of money to be made in Kickstarter videos. Oh, wait a second. Nobody charges for Kickstarter videos. So it got to the point where you would see these various different outlets. And a lot of times I would have them pop up in my news feed. Speaking of news feed, I was shocked. Shocked, I say, that my review of the Dungeons & Dragons 5.5, I know, I'm calling it that, Player's Handbook popped up in my Google News feed. I almost had a stroke. I was like, oh my gosh. I think it's the first time I've ever seen anything from the Gaming Gang, be it the website or on YouTube, actually pop up in Google News. Amazing. Anyway, so I would see these things popping up and I'd be like, who in the world is that? And then you look and they have 6 videos and 50,000 subscribers. And you're like, okay, I know how this works because there are ways for you to go out there and buy subscribers to YouTube. Shocked, are you? It's like you can go and buy followers for Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. They're mainly bot accounts, but still, people take a look, especially publishers. They take a look and they're like, wow, they've got 50,000 subscribers. And then it doesn't click that it's like, oh, that video's got 50 views. Now, I'll be the first to point out that as far as the number of views compared to subscribers, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, how do we have over 13,000 subscribers? Because most videos don't hit 1,000 views. So it's like, so why did these people just subscribe when I was giving stuff away? Is that it? I'm sure a lot of them are. So if you are going to join the brotherhood and sisterhood and otherhood, I guess we'll say, of content creation, try to have something new to say, because it's gotten to be kind of a joke with board game reviews where, unfortunately, it's a known secret that there are outlets out there who review games based on the rule book. They don't actually play the games. Don't start asking me who it is. I'm not going to tell you. But remember, I've told you, I'm pretty tight with publishers and that. And publishers have a way of just telling you stuff that you don't necessarily need to know. And then you can tell if you go and you take a look at a relatively popular board game that has come out within the last, say, 6 months, and you were to watch 15 outlets review that, I guarantee you 10 of those are going to sound almost exactly identical. There are some outlets out there who actually base their reviews on other outlets' reviews. So, like I said, I didn't want to be tarred with that brush. So I figured, you know what? I've got tons of experience in role-playing games, far more experience in role-playing games than I do like board games. Now, I wasn't playing board games really in the 90s. Early 2000s, but I was running role-playing games. So that's one of the reasons why I've kind of segued over to more role-playing stuff as opposed to board game stuff, because most of the role-playing game outlets out there are pretty original. We don't see the same, and some of the D&D outlets, from my understanding, kind of parrot each other. But for the most part, you do find far more original content with outlets that cover role-playing games more than board games. Doom Colonist says, yep, subscribers to viewers is never a one-to-one thing, but a huge discrepancy is a major warning sign. Yep, it is. Rogue Thinker is joining us. Good to see you. Chris Lundgren asks, what about lighting? What can you do? Are you a Canon guy or Nikon? Neither. You couldn't pay me to use either of those cameras. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, you know me. I've got to be controversial. All right, we'll move into equipment then. So we already talked about mics. And, well, for one, I use, as far as the program that I use OBS Studio, and it's free, and it's pretty decent. I shoot all my raw video with it, and then I use DaVinci, which is free, which is just a really powerful video editing program. In fact, the free version you can do up to 1080p, which that's all I do. I do 1080p. There really is no reason to be shooting these kind of videos or tabletop gaming reviews in 4K or even like 1440. It's kind of silly. It's overkill, really. So, Shauner's with us in chat, says, if you're doing YouTube anything, make sure you have a good mic. Yep, we've been tackling that, where people will tune out if your sound is awful. Even if it's flat, it doesn't even have to be bad. If your audio is just flat, people will tune out. So as far as microphones, there are a lot of various different like podcasting microphones out there that probably, around $100 that I have heard are pretty good. So that is a consideration for you. We already talked about you could use your phone. You use your phone to record. If you're doing a podcast even, you can use your phone to do that. But you're going to want to use something like Adobe Audition to maybe clean up that audio a little bit, maybe give it a little more body if you're doing a podcast, maybe give it more of a radio sound to it. But as far as microphones, those are fairly inexpensive. And like I said, depending on what you're planning on doing, if it's going to be just a podcast, start off with your phone and then just do the editing of your audio on your laptop or desktop, what have you. I guess some tablets can do audio editing relatively well. I don't know. I've never really tried it, but, because I tend to have relatively good hardware as far as my desktop and laptops go. So as far as the audio, that's what you're looking at. As far as video, you can use your phone. As I mentioned before, you can use a camcorder if you want with autofocus. So the autofocus, depending on the camcorder itself, because funny enough, that's what I started with, were camcorders. And they were fine, and they shot 1080. I just didn't care for their color balance, and there's nothing you can do. A camcorder is basically, there you go. That's what you got. Now, of course, you can change things up in post, but, just coming out of the camera, in fact, funny enough, I've probably got $800 worth of camcorders sitting around here that I never use. It's like, yeah, okay. It's like, that was, yeah. Well, I'm one of these people, it's like, I want to try to make it a little bit better. Just a little bit better. As far as cameras, I use Panasonic. And I have a few reasons why I happen to like Panasonic. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't have new Panasonic. I don't have super old Panasonic stuff. But my overhead camera is the better of the two. So the one I'm shooting on that I'm looking at here is a Panasonic G85. And the overhead camera is a G5 Mark II, if I remember correctly. So the first thing to point out is autofocus on these Panasonic cameras is crap. Fingers crossed, it'll decide to pick something up. I've had fairly good luck with that. But the thing is, if you're using cameras, then you can lock in focus, right? So on the Panasonic that I'm looking at right this moment, it is locked in. The focus, there is no autofocus going on here. So my field of depth is set to be this, right? So that's why depending on the size of screen you're watching this, I tend to be, in focus, relatively sharp. Stuff behind me, a little bit out of focus. Now, if I wanted, I could make that way out of focus, like you will see in some videos. Not to the effect of that really fake, out of focus background that looks like just absolute shit. Because you see the little outline of the person kind of changing all the time. Once again, that's shooting video on your phone. That's not shooting video on a camera. So once again, Panasonic autofocus. Although I heard the latest cameras that have come out, it's pretty good. I heard it's pretty decent. Why I use Panasonic is for 3 reasons. 1, I like their color science. I think their color science is pretty good. I look this way, unfortunately. And their preamps are really nice. There's very little hiss or background noise if you're running a microphone into a Panasonic. So that is a huge reason why, because of course, doing interviews and stuff like that at conventions. And then the Panasonic cameras are more video-centric than anyone else. So as far as Canon, Nikon, or Nikon. I've heard it pronounced a multitude of ways. Sony, Olympus, when they were still in the game. I think they've gone under again. All of those cameras have a set 29-minute, 59-second time limit on recording video. Panasonic cameras do not. Now, there are like 2 or 3 Sonys, like $6,000, $7,000 Sonys that don't have that. But for the most part, like all Canon, all Nikon, and their video features are not as deep as Panasonic's. But the reason why there's that built-in limit is because if they allow longer recording times, then in Europe, they have a different VAT. So the taxation is different because rather than being a photography camera, now it becomes a video camera. Video cameras are taxed at a far, far higher rate. So that is why everybody except for Panasonic has that 29-minute, 59-second limit. And woe to those who go to a convention and start shooting a panel and don't realize they've got that limit. And they're trying to figure out, why did the camera just shut off? Is it overheating? What the hell's going on? Nope, it's that limit. So that is why I use that. Chandra says they use NVIDIA Broadcast with background replacers and blurring depending on their mood. Yep, NVIDIA does that. They do a fairly decent job with that too. It's the phone ones that just look awful. It's just terrible. So Edge for Life says they had that same Shure mic as me. It's good, but not $200 good. This isn't a $200 mic. This is a far more expensive mic than that. So their $20 toner works nice for the price. As I mentioned, once again, it's really important to have a microphone that fits your vocal range. So keep that in mind. And it's not something that a lot of people take into account. Now, the one I used to use that I think was a better fit for my voice picked up all the background noise. That was the problem. So that was a major issue that you would hear, like the rumble from the furnace or the air conditioning. You would hear that, even with a sound gate. See, I'm getting a little inside baseball here, but which tries to eliminate audio at a certain frequency. When you would talk, you'd still hear the rumble. When I wouldn't talk, no rumble. Didn't sound very good. So, funny enough, the way to really find out how your sound is, headphones. Use headphones. Laptop speakers suck. Sound bars are decent, but sometimes they don't pick up all of the timbre to your voice. So I found having a nice set of cans and listening through like your phone or tablet you tend to get a pretty good idea. Chandra says they have to hide the air conditioner noise in their room when they make videos. Depending on the video card you got, I know NVIDIA's got some like sound dampening software that people are pretty impressed with. And I've actually seen some sample videos online. As far as lighting, lighting is easy. The thing you have to do is you want to make sure that it is a white light. You don't want the like natural daylight because it's yellow. So I have a couple of large light boxes that are adjustable as far as the level of lighting. and I can change it to like natural lighting, where it becomes yellow. That's awful. That's terrible. But of course, if you're in a location where you get a lot of natural light, by all means, utilize that because that's great. But you got to make sure you white balance stuff. Otherwise, things look really, really yellow and different, really weird. So I've got that. So I've got two like so. So those are illuminating myself and the bookshelves behind me. I also have a light which is above me, but it's pointing behind me a little bit. So that is also illuminating the bookshelves. I have a couple of side lights here that are actually kind of tilted down towards the table. And those illuminate the table, as do the others. The others also illuminate the table for overhead shots. Also illuminate me a little bit on the sides. I know a lot of people out there, when they're doing talking head stuff, they tend to try to have like one half of their face kind of in shadow. I don't mess around with that. I just, whatever. It's just kind of straight on. So I've got those two. And then I also have one other light that's higher up pointing down. So all together, I actually have 6 lights. Some are small, some are fairly small bulbs. They're all LED. Otherwise, it'd be hotter than hell here. Sweat would be running off my face. I feel like people would be like, Jeff, it's December. Why are you sweating so much? Be like, Shunder says their cheap Microsoft camera gives a pinkish skin color. Yeah, that's the thing. All cameras have what's known as color science. And some people love Sonys. And I had a Sony camera. I was using it as an overhead camera, but for what I paid for it and what I was getting out of it, I was like, wow, not a very good investment. So I actually sold it for almost what I paid for it. And I used it for probably about 6 months, maybe. And then I just went and purchased, I always buy stuff used as far as the cameras and that. And I always look for low exposure numbers, like how many snaps have been taken on the camera. Because the thing is, I'm actually not recording. I'm not recording on that camera. That camera is just feeding into the desktop computer. That's recording it. So OBS Studio is recording it as it's streaming it as well. So there's no recording going on. Only recording that takes place on the cameras is when I'm out in the field covering conventions and stuff like that. So not a lot of wear and tear on these cameras. So, but yeah, always I go through like back market for stuff. I have gone through C&H. I think that's out of New York. I've done that. Amazingly enough, Facebook Marketplace. That's where I got the Panasonic. That's my overhead. The G5 Mark II at a really good price. And it was, a lot of times you can pick up camera equipment from people who are like you, right? They're like, hey, I'm going to do YouTube videos. And all these people during COVID were doing YouTube stuff. And then it's like, there we go, B&H. Thank you, Stephen. It's B&H. C&H was the green stamps, I think, when I was a kid, saving up those green stamps to bring those books in to trade in to get a popcorn popper or whatever. I think that's what we got one time. with a book of those stamps. So as far as cameras go, there's a wide range, but my big recommendation is don't start blowing a lot of money until you find that you like what you're doing, because that is a huge aspect of being a content creator, because it does kind of become like a job. Keith Ulu says SNH. There you go. Thank you. Nimble Co is popping on in. We were just talking about the new edition of Nimble 5e on Backer Kit. Once again, almost said Kickstarter, but it's not. It's Backer Kit. So welcome aboard. We know that's the first time visit for them here in chat. So anyways, so as far as like spending money on equipment to get started as a content creator covering tabletop gaming, I recommend use what you got to start off with. As long as it's not awful, right? As long as the video quality is okay, as long as the sound is all right, you'll be fine. Because what'll happen is people will tune in. If you've got something interesting to say, people are going to tune in and listen to it. There are a lot of content creators out there, especially covering tabletop role-playing games, where they're not even on camera, and they might just show a picture of their bookshelf with games on it as they talk, and they pull in thousands of views because people enjoy what they've got to say. Or people are infuriated by what they have to say, and they're tuning in to find out what they're going to get pissed off about next. So I don't recommend investing a lot of money. The other thing, too, is I will also say that don't expect people to watch. So I guess Stephen from Roll for Combat's got to rock on out. Shiner points out just a podcast style video can work for some YouTubers. Yeah, it worked for a lot of YouTubers. Loads and loads of YouTubers. So if you're looking to get into doing this kind of stuff because you love the hobby, you enjoy the relationships that you create within this hobby, then by all means, do it. Get started doing it. Reach out to me, email me, tell me, hey, I got a few videos up, check them out. That's the other thing I want to point out too, is as excited as you are about the content you've created, wait until you have a few videos up before you start letting people know. And I know this from just starting out thegaminggang.com. We spent an entire month releasing news pieces. So we had 30 days of news, and we were doing 2-3 news pieces a day because it was Elliot and I both posting news. And then once we had the website up and operating for about a month, then we started letting people know that we existed. And we were getting a lot of people who were like, I never knew about you guys. Where have you guys been? Now, of course, these people weren't looking to see, oh, well, prior to September, whatever, they didn't exist. They just saw, wow, look at all these news pieces and stuff. So that's why I also recommend, get a couple of videos out there, 2-3 videos, and then start telling people, hey, I've got a channel I just launched. Because if you just do one video and you're out there going, oh, everybody got to check it out, they're going to check it out. And even if it's something that's interesting and they like it, probably not going to subscribe to it because there's no guarantee you're going to see any other content from it. So, Chris Langner says their best camera is a used Canon 700D. Love it. Bought it from a mom and pop store used. But yeah, he says, Jeff's right. Go slow with the money. Yeah. And don't expect to make anything. Yeah, if you do, fantastic. If you do happen to make stuff, make money, start getting review copies and stuff, awesome. But don't go into it thinking, well, you know, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to be a YouTuber. Because those people are few and far between. And I am certainly not one of them. All right. So that is it for tonight. Tomorrow night, our topic is going to be, is Advanced Dungeons & Dragons still worth playing in 2024? And if you happen to watch this show often, my answer is going to be what you expect. Sweet. All right. That is it for this time out. Once again, big thank you to this month's sponsor, Roll-A-Crit, home of the redesigned bag of holding. Like I said, well, I think we'll take a peek. We'll take a closer look at that on tomorrow's show. I'll kind of show it off a little bit. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, big tip at the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company too. But of course, I know most people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the nearly 2,000 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Of course, if you like the video, don't forget, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I stream the Dispatch live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Moria Through the Doors of Durin for the One Ring from Free League Publishing. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube, such as Sammy's recent reviews of Starfighter and Pathfinder releases. Got another one popping up tomorrow. She's liking all this stuff, so give it a peek. Give it a peek. Chris Lundgren says, Buddy says good night. Good night, Buddy. And once again, Chris, I hope your wife is feeling far, far better than earlier today. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.